Primary election day in Florida is just 5 weeks away.
Stand by to meet the candidates.
This original program is provided as a public service by WSRE, the League of Women Voters, and Pensacola State College.
Good evening and welcome to Rally 2014. I'm Drexel Gilbert with WSRE TV.
And I'm Sandra Averhart with WUWF Public Media.
This is the final of 3 nights of Rally 2014 primary election coverage on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast.
Rally allows you the opportunity to meet candidates from primary races in Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, as well as candidates in the state and national races that impact these counties.
Now, Monday night, we met candidates for the U.S. District 1 congressional seat and candidates from Santa Rosa County. Tuesday, we heard from candidates for Florida House District 3 and local races in Okaloosa County. Tonight, we wrap up with 2 primary races in Escambia County. Those are the races for Escambia County School Board District 3 and Escambia County Commissioner District 2. The questions that will be put before the candidates tonight have been provided to us by the League of Women Voters from the Pensacola Bay Area.
The candidates have not seen the questions. The questions will be addressed to each of them. They will be asked the same questions, and they will have 45 seconds to respond. Now, following the question and answer session, each candidate will have an additional 45 seconds to deliver a closing statement.
So, with that said, it's time to get started with the questions for the candidates. There are 3 candidates in the Escambia County School District 3 race. This is a nonpartisan race. The top vote getter must get 51% of the vote plus 1 in order to be declared the clear winner. Otherwise, the 2 top vote getters will face each other in November. Our candidates are seated in alphabetical order. The first candidate we will introduce is Laura Dorch Edler.
And seated next to her is Linda Moultrie, who is the incumbent. And next to Ms. Moultrie is Charlie Nichols. Candidates, welcome to you both, or all 3 of you.
Thank you. And it's time now for the questions, and we will begin alphabetically, so that means we will start with you, Ms. Edler. And question number 1. Extending the school day by 1 hour resulted in improved test scores for some low-performing schools. Please discuss whether the school day should be extended for all schools in the district. And you have 45 seconds for your answer.
I believe if the data is clear that extending the hours have been effective in increasing the grades, then certainly I would approve increasing the hours. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the question now goes to you, Ms. Moultrie. And the question again, extending the school day by 1 hour has resulted in improved test scores for some low-performing schools. Please discuss with us your opinion on whether the school day should be extended for all schools in the district.
Thank you. We are currently extending the day for several schools in addition to the ones that were extended last year because of the data and the increase in the learning gains. Because we have 12 schools that fall in the lower 300 of the state, we are extending the day for 12 schools totally this year.
All right, thank you. And now the question to you, Mr. Nichols. Extending the school day by 1 hour has improved test scores for some low-performing schools. Please discuss whether the school day should be extended for all schools in the district.
I agree with the fact that we are a data-driven district, and the data has already shown that having to extend the day for those schools that need that extra hour is appropriate and something that we need to move forward on.
All right, thank you, sir.
And our next question will go to Ms. Moultrie first. What are your views on the closing of neighborhood schools, particularly those with a high number of minority students?
Thank you. Closing in the neighborhood schools is staffed by the number of students in attendance. We have a geographical switch in our demographics. Therefore, I think that dictates where the school should be open and whether or not it should be closed as to where the demographics are relocating to.
Okay, thank you. And now to you, Mr. Nichols, what are your views on the closing of neighborhood schools, particularly those with a high number of minority students?
Closing of the schools in minority neighborhoods has become a problem for some of our parents who were able to walk to the schools to address whatever issues that may come up. And now they're having to either get a ride or a taxi or perhaps not even go to the school. That has been an Achilles heel for the Escambia County District, and we trust that we can not do those kinds of behaviors again.
All right, thank you. And now finally, this question to you, Ms. Edler, on the closing of neighborhood schools. What are your thoughts on this? Particularly, we're talking about schools with a high number of minority students.
Certainly that's an area that I would want to look at. Neighborhood schools have a high value for students. There are lots of reasons that we should have neighborhood schools. One of those is parent involvement. Oftentimes they cannot get to their children, they cannot get to those activities. I certainly approve and would want to look at bringing back neighborhood schools.
Okay, thanks. All right, and now might be a good time to also just remind our candidates and our viewers of what we do here on Rally. We pose questions that have been given to us by the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area, in this case this evening, to the candidates, and each candidate then will have 45 seconds in which to answer the question. At 40 seconds, the candidates will be given a little warning bell, a little ding, and then at 45 seconds, another ding to let them know that their time is concluded. And at the end of the question and answer session, each candidate will be given 45 seconds then to also make a closing statement. Okay, it's time now to move on with question number 3, and this time we will begin with you, Mr. Nichols. What policies should the school board initiate to assist teachers to help students achieve higher academic standards?
What we've done in the past, I served as an administrator in the school district for over 20 plus years. And what we've done in the past is we looked at research or data that works. We look at schools who are operating on a higher level, high performing levels for our students. And those are the kinds of behaviors that we tend to model in Escambia County. So in order to do that, we want to make sure that we are doing those things that are working well in schools that are similar to the kinds of schools that we have here in Escambia County so that we can become more effective.
All right, thank you, sir. And now the question goes to you, Ms. Edler. What policies do you believe the school board should initiate to assist teachers to help students achieve higher academic standards?
I think it's important to look at class sizes, the support that is given to the teacher, time for training, more resources to assist that teacher in planning and implementing academic plans. I believe that oftentimes if the classroom is so large that the teacher cannot devote time to the students, then that's a hinder to the students' academic achievements.
All right, thank you. And the question now goes to you, Ms. Moultrie. What do you believe the school board should do to initiate programs to assist teachers to help students achieve higher education or academic standards?
Well, research have shown that higher achieving students have parental involvement. I think we as a district should promote policy that would increase parental involvement in our schools and our students. Perhaps providing the teachers with a parent liaison to talk directly to that parent or to that family to help assist them in whatever problem, alleviate any barriers that student may be facing to help them achieve to their highest level.
All right, and we are up to our next question for the candidates, and it will go first to Ms. Edler. Please discuss the advantages or disadvantages of non-academic school services being contracted to the private sector.
Well, my first thoughts would be that public school activities should be administered by the public school. However, sometimes to manage limited funds, it is necessary to outsource some of those services. I believe it's important to have a good accountability and monitoring system when that does occur.
All right, thank you. And now next to you, Ms. Moultrie, would you please discuss the advantages or disadvantages of non-academic school services being contracted out?
Ultimately, the district is responsible for whatever services that we are providing to our families and to our students. So to contract some of those services out, we still have to hold the contractor accountable for the services being provided. The advantage of having it in-house is that we can look at it and regulate our employees better as opposed to contract workers.
All right, thank you. And now to you, Mr. Nichols, your thoughts on the advantages or disadvantages of contracting out non-academic school services.
The advantage is that it saves dollars. The disadvantage is it does not give the school administrator local control. I've had that experience as an assistant principal working in summer school, where we had outsourced the janitorial services. And I believe within a 4-week time period, we had at least 3 different custodial workers. So I believe that, again, the advantage would be the economic portion of it, saving money. Secondly, the disadvantage is not allowing the administrators to have full control over those services.
All right, thank you. And now it's time to move on to question number 5. And Ms. Moultrie, you will get this question first. Recently, the school board decided to allow students who are suspended from school to make up assignments rather than be given zeros during suspension. Can you offer any additional options for those students to lessen the interruption of their education?
Yes, that policy was put in place to assist a student in achieving the ultimate goal, is that an education. I would encourage the parent to make sure that that student will communicate with the school and with the teacher to make sure those assignments are completed, although they're in suspension or suspended from school.
All right, thank you. And the question now to you, Mr. Nichols. Recently, the school board decided to allow students who are suspended from school to make up their assignments rather than to be given zeros during their suspension. Can you offer any additional options for students to lessen the interruption of their education?
One item that may work very well is to have some kind of virtual schooling for those students who are out for short or long period of time that will add to what's going on in terms of the curriculum. For example, if the students are working on division, then you will have some kind of technology going on by way of a virtual setting wherein that they can begin to become more and more familiar or stay abreast as to what they're learning in terms of the academic subject matter that they're focusing on at that time.
All right. One of our candidates has indicated that they would like to offer a rebuttal, and that will happen after we pose this question to Ms. Edler. Ms. Edler, recently the school board decided to allow students who are suspended from school to make up their assignments rather than to be given a zero during their suspension. Do you have any additional options or ideas for those students to lessen the interruption of their education?
I believe that was a good policy in the right direction. One of the things that I would add is that perhaps we can connect that student with a mentor or tutor while they're home, so that would give them the additional help that they need in the subject matter. Oftentimes these children are behind in their subject matter and need that additional help.
All right, thank you. Now, Ms. Moultrie has indicated that she would like to offer a rebuttal, so Ms. Moultrie, you have 30 seconds to do that.
Thank you. I just want to clarify that we currently offer virtual school to our students as a means to make up classes as well as to get extra credit. Their virtual school is being offered at the current time.
All right, thank you. And now we'll move on with our questions, and it will go first to Mr. Nichols will get this question first. What types of programs could be initiated to increase parent involvement, regardless of family economic levels, in the education of their child?
One of the things that I found that was rather interesting would be to go door to door, just as we do in campaigning, to touch base with parents, to talk with the parents, to understand how students are living, and invite them in and provide for them a warm atmosphere, so when they come in that they are received well and they're able to partake in whatever activities that we have. I know working in one of the schools that I've worked in for many years, we used to have the gingerbread house that was done every year, and we get lots of parents who would come and take part in that activity. Those are the kinds of things that can occur.
All right, thank you. And this question will go next to Ms. Edler. What types of programs do you believe could be initiated to increase parent involvement at all economic levels or regardless of economic levels for their family in the education of their children?
I believe the first thing that must happen is mutual respect. That there must be respect for the parents to come into the schools to engage with their children. I believe that one of the things that we could have is bring your parents to school. That children would be able to bring their parents into the classroom, feel good about their parents being there, to share what they do, even if they're homemakers, to make that very important, but to build that relationship with that parent. And I believe that parents would want to be involved.
All right, thank you. And now finally, Ms. Moultrie, you get an opportunity. What types of programs do you believe could be initiated to increase parent involvement?
Well, each school is required to have a parental involvement piece in their current strategic plan, so that's already in place. However, I do think it would be very beneficial if we continue to connect with the communities, create partnerships, and have them to reach out to those families to stress the importance of communicating with the school and being involved in their children's education.
All right, thank you. And now we're moving along to the next question. And Ms. Edler, you will receive this question first. How do you feel about adding gender identity expression and gender expression under the non-discrimination policies to the Student Rights and Responsibilities Handbook in relation to targeted bullying? And you have 45 seconds to answer the question.
I believe it's important to respect the rights of all human beings, and to include them in that category, I believe was a good step in the right direction. As humans, regardless to our sexual orientation, our identity, we should not be discriminated by, and so to include that in that policy I think was good.
All right, thank you. And the question now goes to you, Ms. Moultrie. What is your stand on adding gender identity and gender expression under the non-discrimination policies to the Students' Rights and Responsibilities Handbook in relation to targeted bullying? And you have 45 seconds to answer the question.
Thank you. It appears that I support that because I voted for it, so I'm in favor of that. No person should be bullied or felt disrespected in any setting where it's going to disrupt their learning. Adding the term gender identity to our bullying policy, give them the comfort they need and respect they need to feel comfortable in a learning environment and setting.
All right, thank you. And finally, the question goes to you, Mr. Nichols. What do you think about the gender identity, gender expression reference in the non-discrimination policies to the Students' Rights and Responsibilities Handbook as it relates to targeted bullying? And you have 45 seconds, sir.
I support the idea. I support it strongly. Having that in the Student Rights and Responsibility Handbook gives those individuals an opportunity to say that all students are to be treated equally and fairly and without any challenges that they may have regardless to their gender or their preferences. So we're excited about that possibility that we're having those students who are now being understood and those students who are now being accepted, wherein that they will not be bullied or given a hard time because of who they are. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we are moving right along with our candidates for Escambia County School Board District 3. This next question will go to Ms. Moultrie first. In November, Escambia voters will be asked to support the 10-year renewal of the half-cent sales tax to be used for capital outlay projects and for the construction of new schools. What is your opinion of extending the tax?
I believe that extension is needed because of the growth that we're experiencing in that end of the county. Certainly we need those funds to create a schools for that growth, especially since capital outlay money is no longer available to us through the state or through the federal. So this is the way we get funds to create our capital outlay items.
All right, thank you. And now this question to you, Mr. Nichols. What is your opinion of extending the half-cent sales tax for 10 years?
The half-cent sales tax is a good idea. What it does, it helps to maintain our infrastructure. We have aging schools, and that's an opportunity for our schools to come back into compliance so that our students will have a safe environment in which they can learn.
All right, thank you. And now, Ms. Edler, your opportunity to respond to your opinion of extending the half-cent sales tax, which will be on the November ballot coming up.
That's an area that I would have to explore further. I certainly would rely on the decision of the public. If they voted, since it's going to be on the ballot, then certainly I would support it.
All right, thank you. And we are coming up for the final question now for Escambia County School Board District 3. The race has 3 candidates, and we would like to remind you, if you've just joined us, that you are watching Rally 2014 on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast. I'm Drexel Gilbert, joined tonight with Sandra Averhart. And following this race, we will then be discussing issues with the candidates for the Escambia County Commission District 2. But for now, let's go to the final question for Escambia County School Board District 3, and Mr. Nichols, this question will go to you first, sir. If you are elected, what will your priorities be in the coming year?
My priority will be to touch base with the constituency in District 3, to look at what is happening in District 3 and what we can do to improve it. Also to touch base with the superintendent and other members of the school board so that we can begin to look at those things that need to continue, those things that we need to stop doing, and those things that we need to start doing. So it would be, my challenge would be to touch base with those persons who are stakeholders to find out what it is that we need to do in order to move forward.
All right, thank you, sir. And next to you, Ms. Edler, if you are elected, what will your priorities be during the coming year?
Certainly my priorities would be to improve the school system to make it more attractive to children and parents so that children will want to go to school. We have children walking the streets when they should be sitting at a desk. We have children in jail cells when they should be in a classroom. So we need to make the public school attractive so that they will want to come to school. I'm very much concerned about the discipline and the number of referrals that children are receiving. So those are areas that I would work on. I would like to review policies and procedures and traditional practices to see if they are effective. Oftentimes we're operating on policies and procedures that happened many, many years ago and are not addressing the current needs.
All right, thank you. And finally, the question to you, Ms. Moultrie, if elected, what are your priorities in the coming year?
My priority is to continue to create partnerships with our community and reach out to the stakeholders to help us to increase our parental involvement in our schools to make sure our children are successful in achieving their highest goal. And also to continue to advocate on the state level for the funds we need for our schools locally.
All right, thank you. Well, that concludes the questions for candidates for Escambia County School Board District 3, and now each candidate will have 45 seconds to make a closing statement. And we began the last question with Mr. Nichols, so continuing to move along the line, we will begin our closing statements with you, Ms. Edler, and we would like to remind all of you candidates that you do have 45 seconds to make your closing statement. Ms. Edler, to you first.
Thank you very much. Our educational system is at a crossroad. We must make critical decisions to guarantee the future of our children. It is time for a change. I bring a strong background in teaching, program development, child welfare, leadership, and socioeconomic issues that impact academic achievement. August the 26th, I would like for you to vote for Laura Deutsch Edler. I am the change we need and the voice that we deserve. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now, Ms. Moultrie, your opportunity for a closing statement, 45 seconds.
Thank you. A vote for Linda Moultrie is a vote for honesty, integrity, and transparency. But above all, a vote for Linda Moultrie is a vote for putting the needs of our students first and foremost. I want to thank the voters of District 3 for allowing me to serve them over the past 6 years. We have made great strides. However, the rules of public education are continually changing. Public education was established to create an equal opportunity for all children, access to a quality education. With your vote, I will continue to advocate and fight for a quality education for all students. Thank you, and I look forward to serving the next 4 years.
Thank you. And to Mr. Nichols now, we go to you for your closing statement, sir. And again, you have 45 seconds.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters, the WSRE, and those who are listening. I have served in the Escambia County School District for over 30 years. 20 plus of those years have been as an administrator in the school district, and I bring to this position vision, integrity, service, and accountability. And I need your vote on August 26th. Vote Charlie Nichols. I'm one of the fewer candidates who has the number of years of experience, who have operated in a school from the beginning to the end. And I'm familiar with what happens in a school and how it works. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
All right, thank you to all of our candidates for School Board District 3 in Escambia County who have participated in Rally 2014 this evening.
And as we wrap up the first question and answer session this evening, we want to remind you that you are watching Rally 2014 on WSRE TV, where candidates in the upcoming primary have the opportunity to answer questions about some of our important issues here along the Gulf Coast.
That's right. And speaking of the questions, a reminder that the questions for tonight's races were prepared by the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area.
Up next, we move to the race for Escambia County Commissioner, District 2. We'll return in just a moment.
There's nothing more important to our democratic process than having an informed electorate voting on Election Day. Good evening. I am Ed Meadows, President of Pensacola State College, thanking you for tuning into Rally 2014, a joint presentation of the League of Women Voters, WSRE TV, and Pensacola State College. Rally allows you the opportunity to watch and listen as this election year's slate of candidates answer the tough questions concerning the needs of our community. WSRE, a service of Pensacola State College, is proud to bring this program to you as a public service, and as always, we invite your comments and suggestions about how we can further fulfill our community obligations. Let's all remember the importance of participating in the governance process by voting in the upcoming election.
There are 3 ways to cast a ballot in Escambia County: by mail, early voting, or at your precinct on Election Day. To vote by mail, contact the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections office. You can write, phone, fax, email, log on to their website, or ask in person at the Supervisor's office on Palafox Place in downtown Pensacola. Ballots must reach the Supervisor of Elections office by 7 p.m. on Election Day. Early voting takes place from Saturday, August 16th through Saturday, August 23rd at the 7 locations listed on your screen. Early voting times are 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. each day. On the day of the primary election, Tuesday, August 26th, voting takes place at your polling location from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. You must vote in the precinct in which you live and are registered. To verify your precinct, log on to escambiavotes.com. Be sure to take a photo and signature ID with you. And welcome back to Rally 2014 on WSRE TV, where you are hearing from Escambia County candidates in the upcoming primary.
We heard earlier this evening from candidates for Escambia County School Board District 3.
And now it is time to move on for the race for Escambia County Commission District 2.
There are 4 candidates in this race. There are 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Now, the winner of each party will move on to the general election in November. The candidates in alphabetical order are Ray Guillory, Democrat; Deb Moore, Democrat; Douglas Underhill, Republican; and Gene Valentino, Republican, and he is the incumbent in this race.
And candidates, we say welcome to all of you and thank you for being here this evening. It is time for your first question, and we are going to begin alphabetically with you, Mr. Guillory. The first question tonight is, what is your opinion of the proposal to construct a recycling center at the Perdido landfill? And you have 45 seconds, sir.
I absolutely support this measure. I've been talking for the last 6 months with members of ECUA about what we can do to firm up our recycling program here in Escambia County. I think that we can bring the jobs here instead of shipping to Birmingham. I think that would be great to build up recycling for all of Northwest Florida here in Escambia County. The jobs, the opportunities, and the economics of it make sense, and I believe that we should do it and get on it.
All right, thank you. And the question moves now to you, Ms. Moore. What is your opinion of the proposal to construct a recycling center at the Perdido landfill?
I agree that this is an important issue. When I lived in Santa Rosa County, we did not have recycling, and we don't have it currently at the unit that I live in, and that distresses me. We have an opportunity to do it. We have an opportunity to do it in a number of ways and profit from it. So I believe that this is an important issue to bring back to Escambia County. Thank you.
Thank you. And those were the two Democratic candidates. And now this question goes to the two Republican candidates and goes first to Mr. Underhill. What's your opinion of the proposal to construct a recycling center at the Perdido landfill?
I absolutely agree that modern communities take care of their own trash. They take care of how they manage their infrastructure, and really, as we evolve and move Escambia County into the future, we certainly should have not just a recycling system that we can that gets the job done, but really we should be take this opportunity to set the standard.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Valentino, your thoughts on the proposal to construct a recycling center at the Perdido landfill?
Well, thank you for having us here tonight. We've had a recycling center at the Perdido landfill, and I'd like to see that come back to the Perdido landfill. In fact, recycling in a form exists at the landfill now. Methane gas is taken from the decomposition of matter in the landfill now. We turn that into energy through a generator, and that generates for Escambia County today almost $1 million. We're in the process of installing a second generator to bring our revenue stream on this enterprise fund up to $2 million a year to fund many of the needs that we have in the county.
All right, thank you very much. And our next question will go to Ms. Moore first. Escambia County expects to receive more than $100 million from the 2010 BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf. What are your top priorities for the expenditure of these funds?
We need to look for projects that will use these funds wisely, that will use them only where they don't continue along the road. BP funds will not be a never-ending source of revenue. So when we choose projects to use, like with the Restore Act and the BP money, the projects need to have an end in sight, because the projects cannot go beyond the funds coming from BP.
All right, thank you. And of course, Ms. Moore is a Democrat in this race. We'll move to our two Republicans to answer this. Escambia County expects to receive more than $100 million from the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010. To you, Mr. Underhill, what are your top priorities for expenditure of these funds?
Well, the first thing that we need to remember with this is this is really a one-time opportunity to correct a lot of the shortcomings that we've had over the years, and so we should be looking primarily at our infrastructure and some of the things that have been underfunded over time, and make sure that we take this opportunity to correct those mistakes. But secondly, we need to look at using this money in a way that actually creates opportunities and creates a return on investment so that we can maximize the value that we get out of this money as we're going forward.
All right, thank you. And now, Mr. Valentino, what are your top priorities for expenditure of these funds?
Well, the Restore Act Advisory Committee, which we established over a year ago, has been tasked with the responsibility of vetting all of the issues of what's hot and what's not for for renewal here in Escambia County. We've broken it up by criteria into 3 areas: economic development, environmental, and infrastructure. So those are the 3 priorities we have tasked our Restore Act Advisory Committee to assess. And when we get the money, we will then seek out or elicit the different requests, both public and private, and categorize them and prioritize them for consideration.
All right, thank you. And now finally, this question to Mr. Guillory. What are your top priorities? What is your top priority for expenditure of the $100 million or so that the county is expected to receive due to the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill?
I believe that we have seen over the last couple months that there is no other priority at the moment other than infrastructure, and that we need to use this money to start an infrastructure program that we can maintain. And I believe that is the top priority for Escambia County in the Restore Act.
All right, thank you very much.
And now we're moving along, and this time our next question will go first to Mr. Underhill. The recent explosion at the Escambia County Jail has rendered it unusable. What actions should the Commission take to deal with this problem?
Well, when we talk about the jail problem, we have to keep in mind that the repairing the jail that exploded is actually the second part of the jail problem. The jail has been a problem for Escambia County since long before the explosion. So this is actually an opportunity for us. We really are going to have to make sure that we get this right, not just in terms of building a new facility to incarcerate, but also looking at alternatives to incarceration and finding out, we have an opportunity now to build based on and take a look at what we've learned about the incarceration business over the years. We should be able to build a modern facility that really gives us an opportunity to move forward with our community as we do it.
All right, thank you. The question goes next to you, Mr. Valentino. What steps should the County Commission take in order to deal with the situation at the Escambia County Jail, which has been rendered unusable after the explosion there?
Well, thank you. This has been underway several weeks ago after the crisis hit, and it was very unfortunate. The specific answer to your question is we have my fellow commissioners and I, in a team-spirited approach, have developed the concept of a jail campus. If we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound. Let's get it right. And what we're going to do is form a campus that includes training for deputies, training for the incarcerated, GED and other skills, a more effective work release program that the judiciary would buy into, which is a revenue source for the county, and most important of all, a jail that's safe, secure.
All right, thank you, sir. And the question now goes to you, Mr. Guillory. What action do you believe the Escambia County Commission should take to deal with the situation at the jail, which has been rendered unusable because of the explosion there?
I believe that long-term reform in our jail will lead to savings. That reduction in the number of inmates that we have in the jail will lead to long-term savings. We need to come up with alternatives to incarceration. Currently, it costs $95 a day to incarcerate an individual in jail, and that doesn't include the cost to the economy from the lost wages. It only costs $45 a day to keep somebody on electronic monitoring. I believe that in the long run, any jail reform or any talk on the jail should include jail reform.
All right, thank you, sir. And the question finally to you, Ms. Moore, your thoughts on what the County Commission should do to deal with the problems at the Escambia County Jail, which has been rendered unusable after the explosion there.
I wish we had the opportunity to actually voice our opinion right away as they make these decisions in the County Commission. I know they are waiting on causation right now before funding can begin and actual decisions are made. But I think we're moving in the right direction, creating a complex that includes more than just housing inmates. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates. And we have just a few more questions to pose to these candidates for Escambia County Commission District 2, and we'll do that right after taking this break with an important message from the League of Women Voters.
Thanks for watching this year's rally event on WSRE TV. I'm Mary Gutierrez. Haley Richards and I serve as co-presidents of the League of Women Voters of the Pensacola Bay Area. For over 20 years, the leagues here and in Okaloosa County have provided questions for events like tonight's forum as a service to our local communities. Our democracy is based on active participation by informed citizens, and voting is an important way to participate. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization, which means we don't support or oppose parties or candidates. We work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and encourage informed and active participation in government. This rally is one way for us to make accurate and nonpartisan information available to voters. You can also contact us for explanation of the amendments and other ballot issues. We invite women and men to attend our public events or join us as member of the League. For more information, visit www.lwvpba.org or www.lwvokaloosa.org. And please remember to be an informed voter this year.
And welcome back. We're in the home stretch of Rally 2014, and we have several more questions now to pose to the candidates for Escambia County Commission District 2. A reminder to those of you who are watching or may have just joined us, we have 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans in this race. They are all seated in alphabetical order. That is how we proceed with the questioning. We started with Mr. Guillory. His last name is G, obviously, and we just continue to move down the line and rotate who gets the first question each time around. Now it's time to begin the next round of questions, and it's Mr. Valentino's turn to go first.
Exactly. Question 4 to you first, Mr. Valentino. In order to deal with widespread flooding in the county, a task force, a stormwater task force, is being formed to create a plan to deal with this crisis. What actions would you propose to address the recurring problems of flooding in the county?
Well, I'm glad I got that question. The task force is my idea, and I'm proud to say it was I brought it to the commission during the committee of the whole, and I'm honored to say that they supported it unanimously. We've got to take politics out of the middle of something so serious. This is a task force that's looking for a solution for the great-grandchildren of our great-grandchildren. This is something you and I will probably not see the immediate benefit of. The task force is an initiative that will create the true solution of water, how water affected Century, Piedmont, and the shoreline, the high coastal hazard areas. It happened differently to everybody, but there's one common denominator, water, and that's how we're handling it, and we'll be addressing it in the next year.
All right, thank you. And this question will go next to Mr. Guillory. A stormwater task force is being formed to create a plan for dealing with our flooding crisis. What actions would you propose to address the recurring problems of flooding?
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, in this county, we've seen many a task force formed, many a studies made, and then the problem just gets kicked down the road. What I believe is a smart man once said, a stitch in time saves 9. We need to bite the bullet, we need to do the job, and we need to create a master plan to maintain the system we put in place.
All right, thank you. And now, Ms. Moore, your opportunity to address this. What actions would you propose to address the recurring problem of flooding in Escambia County?
Well, I've gone next door to Santa Rosa County, and I've listened to what they've had to say about their stormwater issues. And since 1996, they have had a 100-year storm plan. I think we need to take a look at that, and should I become county commissioner in District 2, I would certainly introduce that. We are currently working under a 25-year flood plan. I think we also need to look at when a zoning request is put before us, that we need to stop rezoning and keep it at a low density, at least until we have figured this out. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And now to you, Mr. Underhill, what are your thoughts? What actions would you propose to deal with the problems of flooding in the county?
Well, it seems that we're having a 100-year storm event about every 2 to 3 years here in Escambia County. So while certainly we do need to have a long-term plan in place, the time for that Blue Ribbon Commission has been actually every year for at least the last 10. Certainly that is a part of it, and we need to move forward on that, but to say that we will not be able to, we won't see the benefits of this until our grandchildren are here. If we don't get this fixed a lot sooner than that, our grandchildren will not be here. So we need to get started right away with correcting the silted-in retention ponds, and make some short-term solutions while we're preparing that long-term solution.
All right, thank you. There is a request for a rebuttal from Mr. Valentino. 30 seconds for that.
We spoke to the governor on this plan, and he was so excited. He said, let's get it right in Escambia County. And then and Mr. Coons from Emergency Management said, would like to serve on the committee along with all the state agencies. They're serious about helping us, just like they were when ECUA needed $250 million for the relocation of the plant. This is for the future. We have to have a vision for the future, but solve today's problems as well. When I say we're looking for the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren of our great-grandchildren.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And it's time to move along now with our next question. And Mr. Guillory, you will get this question first this time. Escambia County's barrier islands, Pensacola Beach and Perdido Key, have suffered some severe erosion. The cost of beach renourishment is estimated to be $35 million every 10 years. How would you propose to raise the local funds to sustain beach renourishment efforts? And you have 45 seconds, sir.
That's an interesting question. The barrier islands are very important. Our natural beauty is one of the things that attracts a lot of economic development here in Escambia County. And I think that because of the economics of tourism, that the funds should be coming from tourists, that we should find a way to fund the resanding of the barrier islands through tourist development funds. And maybe through bed taxes and those kind of areas, and that the people who benefit the most from tourism in the county, the areas that are around where the barrier islands are, should probably bear the brunt of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Moore, the question goes to you next. Severe erosion problems on Escambia County's barrier islands, Pensacola Beach and Perdido Key, and the cost of dealing with that is estimated to be about $35 million every 10 years. What are your thoughts on how to raise the funds locally in order to be able to sustain the beach renourishment efforts?
Thank you. That is an important question and issue that keeps coming back to us. I was actually at a meeting when it was brought up the Santa Rosa Island Authority had received an $8 million grant, and they were looking for matching funds from the county. The county could not support that, so the budget office was looking to a bond issue perhaps, or some type of loan to get them the matching funds so that this grant did not disappear. So I believe grants may be the way to go, as they have shown that they can get that kind of money. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now, Mr. Underhill, it's your time to weigh in on this question and tell us your thoughts on what you believe should be done to raise the local funds to sustain beach renourishment efforts on the barrier islands, Pensacola Beach and Perdido Key, cost estimated to be about $35 million every 10 years. And you have 45 seconds, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, as you said, the cost is expected to be $45 million every 10 years. So this is actually part of the, this is funding that should be planned for, and maintaining the beaches, particularly because it is such an important part of our economic structure here. Maintaining the beaches is the same, should be treated with the same level of interest as maintaining our roads and our highways. And other infrastructure. The beaches are a critical part of our infrastructure, and they actually do support everybody here in Escambia County with the tax revenue in particular that they produce.
All right, thank you. And finally, the question to you, Mr. Valentino, your thoughts, sir, on how local funds should be raised in order to be able to sustain the cost of beach renourishment efforts on the barrier islands, Pensacola Beach and Perdido Key.
I propose a dedicated funding source for beach nourishment. I proposed a few years ago, and will be proposing again with my fellow commissioners, a new SRIA, referred to as the Special Resort Impact Area, a waterfront district that extends from the far reaches of Navarre at the Santa Rosa County border all the way back to the Floribama at the Alabama border. Mother Nature knows no prejudice between one area or another. It erodes sand indiscriminately throughout the entire area, and it has to be looked at globally. Yes, there will be specific dedicated funding sources such as Restore and grants along the way.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. All right, moving on to our next question. It will go first to Ms. Moore. The question is, the county has recently contracted with First Transit to provide transportation services to disabled residents. What type of oversight do you think needs to be in place to ensure that the company will perform its functions adequately and in a timely manner?
I think I am aware that we recently changed companies. I do know that. I've recently been on an ECAT bus and have seen how great this system works and what a great service that it provides. I've worked with the unions before I've talked to them, and I recently sat down with a paratransit driver. I'm not sure what issues you are talking about that may need to be watched, so I will have to look into that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now this question to you, Mr. Underhill. We're talking about First Transit just recently getting the contract to provide transportation to disabled residents. What type of oversight do you think needs to be in place to ensure that the company performs its functions in performs them adequately and in a timely manner?
Great question. And while your question is specifically about handicap services, the overall function of the legislative body should be to enable and then ensure that the executive side of the House is actually getting things done. We must have a substantial oversight of not just the handicapped aspect of, but whether or not we as a county are getting what we are paying for out of our ECAT services, making sure that the routes that we're actually putting in place are actually being ridden and riders are using them to get to work, get to doctor's appointments. So we do need to have a much stronger oversight on the ECAT than we have now.
All right, now to you, Mr. Valentino. What type of oversight do you think needs to be in place to ensure that this new company, First Transit, performs its functions adequately and in a timely manner?
Well, I was one who was not at first interested in seeing First Transit continue in its contract. I thought we could take it internally as an effort to save money. I was wrong. The fact of the matter is First Transit's doing a phenomenal job. And by them bringing in the paratransit system, the disabled portion, into their general operations, we're assured of equal pay for the employees and care and maintenance of the vehicles, which was severely overlooked on the disabled. And more importantly, there's a master plan in place with a central decision-making process to determine what are the hot routes and what are not hot routes, and to turn routes on and off based on need.
All right, thank you. And now finally to you, Mr. Guillory, what are your thoughts on this new company, First Transit, and what type of oversight needs to be in place to ensure that it performs its functions adequately and in a timely fashion?
I think that with First Transit, like every contract that we make with the county, that we should be doing on-site inspections, monthly reviews, and customer feedback. And that if there are any contract violations, that we promptly make sure that they are fixed. I believe that it should be across the board for any contracts that the county makes with outside vendors, not just for First Transit.
All right, thank you. And now we move along to the next question, and this question goes first to Mr. Underhill. With increased traffic and the flooding that's been experienced, county roads need increased maintenance. Please discuss the adequacy of the budget that's designated for road maintenance and repair.
Well, the budget is adequate. The unfortunate thing is that we are spending an awful lot of our time focusing on trying to build new, and our primary focus should be on maintaining that which we already have. As we push forward with ideas, large-scale ideas like a $52 million four-lane highway on Perdido Key, our focus should in fact be spent on taking care of things like maintaining the roads closer into town, and ensuring that we don't lose what we've already got.
All right, thank you, sir. The question now goes to you, Mr. Valentino. With increased traffic and flooding, county roads are needing increased maintenance. Would you discuss, please, your thoughts on the adequacy of the budget that's designated to deal with this maintenance?
Well, the state DOT manages, for the most part, the maintenance of these roads. I disagree with Mr. Underhill. It is our job to set the vision, and that's why we have a TPO, of which I'm chairman of, Transportation Planning Organization. We set into motion the priorities of what road comes first, second, and third. We do that based not only on what's eroded or potholes, but we do it based on need, concurrency requirements, density of development around it. And so we, as a community, will grow forward by properly designing a road system that meets the economic growth of the community. They go hand in glove.
All right, thank you, sir. And the question now goes to you, Mr. Underhill. Escambia County sees increased traffic on its roadways. There have been flooding issues, and of course, all of that calls for increased maintenance. What are your thoughts on the budget that's designated to deal with the maintenance and repair?
It's Mr. Guillory, sorry.
Guillory, I'm so sorry.
I believe that a lot of the work could probably be brought in-house, and that there could be large amounts of savings in that. I also think there's a major discrepancy in the areas of the county that get the road work done. You know, as I go through the district, I see that it was stated that it was by density, that certain density areas of the county are lacking in services that other low density areas of the county have. If you go down Lillian Highway, you go down Jackson Street, there are no sidewalks or no bicycle paths on the sides of the roads. You'll see people walking down the street, walking with their children down the street, riding the bicycles down the street, and most of them do it out of necessity and not recreation.
All right, thank you. And finally, the question to you, Ms. Moore, your thoughts on the designated budget for dealing with maintenance and repair of county roads in light of increased traffic and flooding issues.
Well, I've actually read the entire budget. I think it's 320 pages. So I understand where different departments are struggling to get the money that they need. We have the advantage of having LOST, and I think that that is going to help us a lot make up the shortfall where our budget, and LOST stands for Local Option Sales Tax. It has given us, over a 10-year period, $378 million. Not all of it is going to go to roads, but I believe that after attending a town hall meeting in District 4, I believe that the people are ready to renew that so that in 2016, 17, 18, I believe, it will renew and we will have more money for those projects.
All right, thank you. And we have one final question for our candidates for Escambia County Commission District 2, and it will go first to Mr. Valentino. What type of infrastructure or quality of life features would you like to see in place, or do you think should be in place in order to attract high-paying jobs to the county?
We need a better comprehensive plan that marries the mixed use of commercial and residential. It's under rewrite right now. But the kind of commercial is as far-reaching as the high-tech jobs. I went to Europe 4 times to court the subcontract vendors of Airbus, and we are making headway in bringing them here. That's at one level, and that would go into one area of the community. In the other area of the community, we are one of the leaders in low-income housing. I want to be the leader in high-income housing. That doesn't mean I have anything bad to say about low-income housing. We need to support that. But if we have high-income housing, we have high-paying jobs, and that's my priority.
All right, thank you. Next to Mr. Guillory, this question for you. What type of infrastructure or quality of life features do you think should be in place in order to attract high-paying jobs to the county?
Well, unfortunately, we always talk about jobs and economics in this county by talking about how we can bring in jobs, how we can bring in people to Escambia County, and hardly ever talk about how we promote local businesses and how we promote local people. And I think that the greatest thing that we can do in this county to promote economic growth is to promote our local businesses and our local people and get back into those communities that have long been neglected by the county government and rebuild them. Even for outside interests, if they come to the county and you go through dilapidated areas of the county, it's a turnoff for economic development.
All right, thank you. Next to Ms. Moore, your thoughts on the type of infrastructure or quality of life features that should be in place to attract high-quality jobs here.
We have over 100,000 people right here that are waiting for a job. And I do agree with my opponent here that infrastructure also includes people. And we have to do something to erase the poverty and increase the quality of life for those people. When we erase poverty, we reduce crime. We have to bring that level up in our blighted communities. I'm not running for school board, but I know that in order to attract people to a high level of jobs, they have to raise the level that they're coming out of the schools at, the reading level, so that they can read the technical manuals for all of these jobs that they're promised.
All right, thank you. And to you, Mr. Underhill, for your thoughts on the type of infrastructure or quality of life features that should be in place to attract high-paying jobs.
Well, I see the job market in America moving toward knowledge-based industries, things along like IT and cyber. And in fact, in my profession, I am constantly recruiting people to come to Pensacola, come to Escambia County from places like Arlington, Virginia, and Tampa. And we actually have the best infrastructure that simply cannot be competed with by those areas, and that is our quality of life, our lifestyle down here that we're able to live. We need to be very focused on putting Pensacola and Escambia County on the map of the national and international cyber scene, and by leveraging those assets that we already have on Corey Station and at Naval Air Station. By doing that, we bring those quality employees into Escambia County.
All right, thank you, candidates. We appreciate all of you being here with us tonight for Rally 2014, and that wraps it up for the questions. But now it's time for the closing statements, and each of you will have 45 seconds. Now, we began the last round of questions with Mr. Valentino, and our policy is to continue moving down the line. So that means we will start the closing statements with you, Mr. Guillory.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to address you and the citizens of Escambia County. My name is Ray Guillory, and I'm running for the Escambia County Commission in District 2. I'm the only candidate here who grew up in Escambia County and went to Escambia County schools. I want my children to have opportunities. We all know someone who has abandoned their home, has left Escambia County because there are no opportunities here. We need somebody who knows how to not only include people, but how we tend to exclude people. If you want somebody who really cares about the working class neighborhoods in Escambia County, then on August 26th and November 2nd, vote for Ray Guillory for Escambia County Commissioner in District 2. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Guillory. Now, closing statements from you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and to WSRE for hosting this event. As an Air Force veteran, I stand ready to serve you as the County Commissioner in District 2. I want to erase poverty in order to reduce crime. I want to create jobs in order to improve the quality of life here in Escambia County. And I want to address the critical needs of our infrastructure in order to provide a safe environment for the people and the property of our residents, both commercial and residential. I believe these issues are important, and if you do also, then vote more for County Commissioner District 2 in Escambia County. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to you, Mr. Underhill, you have 45 seconds to deliver your closing statement.
Thank you, and thanks again to the League of Women Voters and to WSRE for hosting. The bottom line is that Escambia County is at a tipping point. We're seeing a lot of things to be negative about when you start talking about the things that we've talked about with regard to the flooding and the jail. But there is a lot to be positive about in Escambia County. There is positive change taking place, and that is a change towards civility and cooperation and collaboration. And I think that as I said, we're at a tipping point. If we make the right decision on August 26th that puts disciplined, educated leadership in the District 2 seat, then we will be able to move forward as a county working together to make those changes. And that right decision is Doug Underhill. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And finally tonight, Drexel, closing statements from Mr. Valentino. 45 seconds.
Well, thank you again to the League of Women Voters, WSRE, and most importantly of all, the citizens of Escambia County. It's been an honor to serve you these last 7.5 years. And if you can, join us at the Coffee with the Commissioner meetings Wednesdays on Navy Boulevard at the Coffee House every 7:30 in the morning every Wednesday. It's our chance to be as collaborative and transparent as possible. Our theme is a lot done, more to come. In the last 7.5 years, we reduced the debt $52 million. We did it without raising taxes. I have a company in town that employs over 30 people. We put over $3.5 million a year back into the Escambia County economy. We have increased over $240 million of capital improvements in this community during that time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, and that is a wrap for Rally 2014. A big thanks to all of the candidates who've come out over 3 nights this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, to participate in Rally. And we do hope that during the course of the week's programs that you've gotten to know the candidates and their stands on the issues that mean something to you and your lives and your families.
And Drexel, in the coming days, you, the voter, will be able to find all 3 nights of Rally 2014 online at WSRE.org. We encourage you to share that information with those who were unable to watch the programs live with us.
Our thanks tonight to the League of Women Voters and to the Pensacola State College for their participation in Rally 2014. Be safe and be sure to vote August 26th in the primary. Good night.